Hello everyone. I wanted to place this trigger warning in front of all of my videos for this series because it has to do with teen suicide and the attempt of suicide in general. If this is something that is triggering to you, please enjoy one of my other series. This one can get pretty heavy due to the content. So I do want you guys to be aware of that. I also want you guys to know that you are loved, you are enough, and you matter. If you are ever feeling that way, in a suicidal way or depressed or something like that, please get out there and get help. It's not about pride. To just put that, you've got to put that away. If you are having a rough time, talk to somebody, talk to family, talk to a friend, talk to just a random stranger at the bus stop or something. You know, sometimes it's easier to get off your chest what you're feeling with someone you don't even know compared to someone that's family or friends, just because you don't have to worry about how they're going to think about you or anything like that. You gotta get those feelings out. I've got a couple of numbers here for those that may feel the way that they might be feeling. The purpose of this entire series is to bring awareness to teen suicide and suicide in general. So I do want to give you guys a couple of numbers. The first one, it's pretty simple. It's only 3 numbers. Call 988. If you feel that your needs won't be met from a regular hotline because you might be a member of the LGBTQ plus community, another number that you can call is 866-488-7386. Stay safe, love each other, and help those in need. The world is better with you in it. Thank you. Now enjoy the episode. Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to be reading Chapter 7. So let's get into it. Do I want to know why you're all wet? Lisa leaned against the doorframe with her arms folded. She was wearing warm-ups again, very silky this time, gold and green, school colors. I glanced down at the front of my blue shirt and jeans. There was a big wet spot covering my stomach and the front of my pants, like I'd forgotten to unzip before taking a whiz. Great. I covered up the dark area as best I could with the memory book. Pee. No. Wait. I don't know. Wait. I do know. I did the dishes. Crumbs and glue and stuff. She was so pretty. I was never going to be able to think straight around Lisa, much less talk. Harder to talk outside the hospital. Harder to think. But I probably wouldn't have talked that well around Lisa even if I didn't have stress and word problems and a hole in my brain. She didn't seem to mind, though. If I ignored the whole totally stacked thing, Lisa was starting to remind me of Mama Rush, not making a big deal over much. Todd's at the lake, she said, and my parents have gone over to the university for a charity telethon. I just got back from the track. Are you going to be a social worker? I asked too fast, still thinking about Mama Rush. Lisa's face twisted up, then she laughed. You're weird, you know that? But funny weird. Good weird, I think. What do you want, Jersey? Drugs, I said, all happy-like, then clamped my hand over my mouth. That absolutely sealed it. I had to start carrying a sock. There was no way I dared to open my mouth again. Who knew what would come out? Thankfully, Lisa didn't just slam the door. Instead, she squeezed her eyes shut and shook her head. This has got to do something with that list you and Mama Rush made, doesn't it? When she looked at me, I nodded. I know you're supposed to take it to her this afternoon. Want to take a hike to your backyard? I've got a little while before I'm supposed to be at the mall, so I can help you with it. Yes. I mean, thank you. That's great. This earned me a grin and an arm to help me heaven hell down the porch steps and make it through our back gate without falling on my already mashed up head. I kept my memory book tucked under my bad arm and got annoyed with the pen bouncing against my wet shirt. Lisa didn't seem to mind this either. Maybe with her, I didn't need a sock that badly. We headed for the wooden picnic table at the edge of our patio. The one with a full view of our living room through the big back picture window. If I turned my head some, I could see my bedroom window too, but I didn't want to look up because I was afraid I'd see JB staring there, glaring at us. If he kept hanging around, I'd need to hire an exorcist. But I didn't want to think about ghosts and exorcists, not with Lisa, sitting at the picnic table in her green and gold and looking so pretty and planning to help me and all. I don't need a sock, I blurted as she sat down. My bad hand curled until I winced. Okay, now you have to explain the sock thing. She reached across the table and pulled my memory book out from under my arm. With a few graceful moments, she flicked to the last few pages and put it down on the table with the list showing right side up to me. The pen she placed on the paper, right where I needed to pick it up. For some reason, Lisa being nice to me and the pain in my hand made me want to cry. No, I didn't want to cry. Crying was for babies and girls, and I was a guy with a beautiful girl out at a picnic table on a beautiful day. No crying, no tears, absolutely not. You okay? Lisa patted my fingers. If you don't want to tell me about the sock, you don't have to. No, the sock. A tear slipped down my cheek and I tried to wipe it away real fast before she saw it. She didn't react, so I got to hoping she didn't see it. But I worried she did. Just a second. I counted to 10, used my good hand to uncurl my cramped fingers, and paid attention to the table. The oak leaves moving gently on branches above Lisa's head, and an ant creeping down one of the cracks in the peeling wood. Breathing. The tears stayed in my head. When I was sure I could say something not totally bizarre, I gave it a try. The idiot things I say. I thought if I had a sock, I'd stuff it in my mouth. Lisa propped her elbows on the table and rested her head on her fists. What? You mean just chew on it in front of people? My cheeks got a little hot. Yeah, chew on it. Might work. She shrugged one shoulder. But you might get fuzz in your mouth, too. Chew fuzz. I put my hand on my memory book. That's better than some of the stuff I say. Thieves and murderers and blue credit cards and stuff. Oh, and sand. And snot, too. I closed my eyes, took a breath, counted to 5. Then I touched the cover of the book. You read this before, right? It was Lisa's turn to look a little embarrassed. She did this mostly with her eyes, which suddenly seemed like they belonged to a puppy instead of a girl. A little. I'm sorry. When I picked it up... No sorry. I slid the book toward her. I mean, don't be sorry. It's okay. You already know I'm stupid. Lisa took the book and she cut her eyes up, sharp like Mama Rush did right before she used her tongue as a whip. I leaned back out of reflex. Yeah, you'd better get out of my way. Boy, I'm not going to waste my time with you if you say bad stuff about yourself. Talking trash about yourself makes you... Trash? The word popped out of my mouth automatically. Mama Rush had told us that 1,000,000 times. Talking trash about yourself makes you trash. If you don't think good things about yourself, nobody else will. Lisa was still glaring. Okay, I added in a hurry. okay was the only thing to say to a mad rush, or yes or sorry. I still had that much pragmatics, or maybe I just wanted to finish this conversation without a black eye. I'll be nice to you, and I'll help and be your friend and stuff, but don't go thinking I'm willing to feel sorry for you, Jersey. Lisa was talking fast, her tone rising and falling like a preacher thumping on a Bible. That bird won't fly. Got me? Got you. I mean, yes. Don't smile. She'll hit you with your own memory book. You know she'll hit you. I covered my mouth, but tried not to look like I was covering my mouth. Under my hand, my lips moved upward, no matter how hard I tried to keep them still. Lisa said she would be my friend. Todd was gone because he hated me and everything changes, but Lisa changed, and she got older and beautiful and nice, and she was going to be my friend. Something inside me relaxed, and before I knew it, the tears came back. Maybe you do need a sock, Lisa said, tapping on the white cover of my memory book. If you're going to blow snot all over the book and stuff. Her face changed a little, like she was thinking too hard. Listen, how's your mom? I shrugged, fighting with the tears. Fine, I guess. Sock. She doesn't talk much. So she's okay? Lisa blew out a breath. I was wondering, hoping she was. She opened my memory book. Okay, here's the list. I wiped my eyes and scratched all 3 of my scars as she read it to herself, then read it aloud. 1. Maybe on drugs. 2. Did something awful, I felt guilty. 3. My life sucked. 4. Heard voices telling me to off myself. 5. Parents really brother and sister, aliens, or abusive. 6. Alana Arroyo. This first one about drugs, I think that's out. Lisa picked up the pen and scratched it off, but I couldn't let it go that easily. Are you sure? There's, pot and meth and stuff. Maybe I did. I massaged my curling fingers, trying to pretend the sunlight wasn't making my head start to hurt. We can't be totally sure of anything since you can't remember, but I don't think drugs were a problem. You were in ROTC and on 2 sports teams at the same time, and all of the coaches did random testing. Lisa made some notes on the page opposite the list. Plus, Todd never said anything, and I never heard any rumors. Believe me, I always hear the rumors. My parents said no to that one too, but I figured they might not know. Rumor pens, random testing. I hadn't thought about random testing. Marking off drugs seemed more reasonable after that. No pot, no meth. Well, maybe some. Who knows? But drugs weren't the problem. Drugs weren't the reason I pulled the trigger. I smiled at Lisa, but had to stop because my hand was hurting so bad, and my head was getting worse too. She didn't smile back. She was looking at the list, all business. Parents don't know stuff lots of times because nobody tells them and they don't know how to look, I guess. Yours too? I felt like somebody was slowly working a screwdriver into my skull, just above my right eye. Never mind the vice squeezing my weak fingers into a tighter and tighter fist. My parents work a lot, but my mom, she's like Mama Rush, maybe always asking questions and trying to be involved. My mother goes to the bank. Lisa looked all funny again, almost like she wanted to cry. Yeah, she does that a lot now. She didn't used to so much. At least, I don't think she did. It was Dad who always went to work, but now he makes oatmeal and toast with Kool-Aid glue. Your mom's probably not over, what happened, what she saw. Lisa's gaze shifted back to the pen. All that blood. And you. I let go of my cramping hand and tried massaging my right temple instead. The headache split my thinking in two, leaving Lisa on one side and her words drifting around and making pictures on the other. Pools of blood, tons of it, like red paint flowing all over the table, the patio, the yard. But I wasn't dead, I forced out, trying to ignore the paint blood. I lived, and I went to hospitals and did therapy, and we had to see shrinks together and stuff. You really think that makes it all better? Lisa asked. Asked this like she didn't know for sure, not like Mama Rush asked things. Mama Rush usually knew the answers to all of her questions. I don't know. I thought it did. That it should have. Paint blood. Better. I stopped rubbing my head and covered my mouth to shut myself up. Lisa was still looking at the pen. Have you talked to her about it? The question was simple enough, but it made me tighten up all over. We had tried to talk about it, my mom and me, a bunch of times in therapy. It usually ended with me mad and upset because she was trying to blame me for stuff I didn't remember. Paint blood. At first she cried. Later she stormed out. By the time I went to Carter, she had stopped doing anything at all, including trying to ask me about shooting myself. We just sort of let it drop. Since I'd never really be able to tell her what made me pull the trigger. All that blood, I echoed what Lisa had said a few minutes ago, blinking to make the paint blood disappear. It was fading, but my head was hurting worse. Paint blood. Lisa cleared her throat. Is it okay if we talk about something else? She sounded funny, and when I looked at her, I thought she might have tears in her head, trying to get out. Did you care about it? I'm more than just, that was gross, or that was stupid, or hey, I knew that kid who shot himself. Why would you ask me that? Lisa straightened up and got that Mama Rush about to slap look again. Dang, boy, you can really... Yeah, okay, I cared. I freaked out for a while. Lots of folks did, like her. She pointed to my list to the last item, Alana Arroyo. That number has been disconnected, I muttered. You tried to call her? Lisa's mouth opened, then closed. She looked part shocked, part mad. She moved away about 6 months ago to get a new start and all. If you want to know stuff about her, you'll have to ask Todd, and if I were you, I wouldn't. Not now, at least. Her eyes drifted away from me to the windows of my house, nervous, ready to go. 1,000 questions jammed into my head. Lisa might get up and leave any second now, and I might not get more chances to talk to her. What if she started shutting the door on me? She probably should start shutting the door, ready to go. If I cried, I'd get snot on my face, and she'd definitely shut the door next time I knocked, and I really didn't want her to shut the door. Don't shut the door, please. I reached for her with my good hand, and she let me touch her wrist. Her skin was so soft, the sensation tied up my tongue worse than ever. Whatever. She took a deep breath and let it out. I know you don't mean to be a jerk, right? Right, I repeated. I could usually repeat last words without disasters. No jerks, no doors. Lisa nodded as she slid her wrist out from under my fingers. You know, I bet you can cross off the 4th and 5th thing on this list. I don't think you heard any voices. Do you? I shook my head and watched her scratch through that line. And if your folks are aliens, then mine are from the same planet. The brother and sister thing is just gross, and my family has known you since you were little. Lisa was talking really fast, like I did sometimes when I was trying to get away from the tears in my head. I guarantee you, if your parents were abusing you, Mama Rush would have just killed them and buried them in the backyard. She didn't trust Child Protective, because she worked for them before she went private. Can you really imagine her leaving a kid in a situation like that? No. Did she even take a breath when she said all that? I thought about asking, but figured I'd say idiot things. At least the paint blood had faded almost away, even though my head and hand were still killing me. Lisa tapped the pen on the memory book. So that leaves you doing something awful, your life sucking, and your ex-girlfriend. I didn't know what else to say, but yes, her words were starting to run together. Okay, Lisa stood up. Progress. Now you can take this to Mama Rush and work on these 3. I've got to go to the mall. She left the yard so fast I barely had time to yell, "Thank you!" before she was out of the gate and gone. That's it for today. We will see you guys next week with Chapter 8.